some of the biggest looming trade actions have been called off after the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Unions representing Royal Mail postal workers and rail staff have said that out of respect for her service to the country and her family, they've chosen to cancel their immediate strike action. For more on these headlines, we cross over to London, where we're joined by Arise business analyst Bode Ososami. Bode, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Indeed, the end of an era. How do you think the business community will remember the Monarch as the strikes are called off?
Good morning, Rotus. Well, indeed, we're already getting tributes from business leaders, which show sincere admiration for a rare example of an enduring leadership brand. She also had this razor focus on the preservation of the institution of the monarchy and a genuine affection for people, not just the British and the Commonwealth. At 96, when most would, of course, have long thrown the towel in a well-deserved retirement, she was still performing her duty, meeting Liz Truss and standing to acknowledge the new Prime Minister. And it was to be her last assignment for the country. She's so dearly loved. But like you said, plans for strikes have been called off. The knives have been sheathed in Parliament, all in genuine respect to observe a period of tributes and mourning. The monarchy is a very costly institution, Rotus, and I think the transition to a new king is going to involve not just printing of new stamps, coins, notes, rebranding at a scale we've probably never seen before. And the British do deserve to get value for the cost. But looking at the tributes, UK IOD director, for example, described her commitment and her selfless service. And indeed, she was someone that lent her gravitas, especially to support small business, everything British, lending her support to the quest for a cleaner environment. But she did not stand in the way of globalization. Her smile to Biden was not in any way wider than that accorded to Xi Jinping. She was mute on the debate on the exit from the EU, although those close to her said she had strong views. We never heard those views. But I think there are three lessons that I see from her for business. She embraced change very well. For example, look at the announcements. They all came out on Twitter. That will have been considered disrespectful only a decade ago. So the right balance between holding on to positive aspects of treasury traditions and leveraging technology really came out. And then she coped well in crisis, obviously strengthened by the training and mentoring she got in those early post-war years. And she led with a rare humility and empathy. And Jeff Bezos, for example, said no one better personified duty. Nick Clegg said that her stoicism and sense of duty was calming and stabilizing. Tim Cook wrote, "There is nothing more noble to devote your life to the service of others." But it will be a tough act for King Charles III to follow. Charles at 73 is looking nowhere as inspiring and dazzling as the 26-year-old beauty that came in when she came into the throne. And of course, on the positive side, I think Charles has been much more better prepared for the role. But even though Queen Elizabeth took this role through a post-war reconstruction period and was successful, we also have to pray that King Charles will succeed in a different victory through the present economic blitz.
Thanks, buddy. How seriously do we take this allegation that Twitter paid $7 million to silence the whistleblower?
It will be hard to prove in court, no doubt. It's a very aggressive mosque, and he wants to intimidate Twitter into surrender and an out-of-court agreement that will favor his aspiration for a more affordable takeover bill or just work away. I suspect he will prefer a bargain. Musk claims Twitter misled him, but there's a text that is now out that shows he no more wanted to do a deal with the Russia-Ukraine war potentially escalating, and now he needed an exit strategy. But we'll have to wait to see what happens in court. Reports are claiming the payment was part of settlement related to Zatko's lost compensation after leaving Twitter, which included a deal that didn't let Zatko speak publicly, but allows him to act as a government whistleblower. So there's nothing obviously wrong with that. But let's see what happens. Twitter shares have nosedived from a peak of $77 in February 2021 to about $41. So clearly they're feeling the pain, but their shares still went up a bit, 1.58% yesterday. We'll see what happens in October when the real battle begins.
About a minute to go. What do you make of Steve Jobs' daughter mocking the latest iPhone?
I think we must be realistic. Cut Apple some slack. Coming up with groundbreaking new features every year is a tall order. And surprises like the emergency SOS via satellite link for the iPhone 14 may not be so great, except you're planning a trip to drive through the Sahara Desert and fear getting lost in a sandstorm. But I think they did their best. Maybe we'll have more time to talk about them later. But I don't think Apple should be worried about those remarks, given how well the shares have been performing.
Arise business analyst Bode Ososami. Bode, thank you so much for taking us through the headlines. We appreciate your insights as always. You're watching the Global Business Report here on Arise News. We'll have more for you after the break. Stay tuned.